Reconstrucción con cambios, para juntos volver a empezar.
Compunche Perú.
Reconstruction with these changes.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning from the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes. We want to welcome you to the Roadshow Master Plan Piura. This is the procurement process for the pre-investment projects and design for the pluvial drainage of Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre, as well as the integrated flood control and mass movement in the Piura Basin, a process that will occur within the G2G agreement with the UK government. This is a video that shows part of the work that we do here in the ARCC. Go ahead with the video. The Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes is the entity in charge of rebuilding the structure affected by the coastal Niño in 2017. To date, we have 10,810 interventions executed in 13 regions of the country. As part of this process, schools, river defenses, drainages and breakwaters, bridges and roads have been built. Aside from health centers and hospitals, we are fully equipped. Today, you can be part of this reconstruction process. Be part of the Roadshow 2023. We need consortiums, consultants, and efficient companies with experience in developing files and executing works that work without according to the G2G agreement with the UK government. And our goal of work is working with honesty and transparency. Be part of our history. Reconstruction with changes. To start again together.
Muchas gracias a todas las empresas nacionales.
Thank you very much to all the national and international companies that are with us today. To us, it is extremely important to rebuild a better future for the communities in the north of our country. And for that, we need strategic allies that have a social engagement. We want you to invite you to be part of this reconstruction process to rebuild to what was destroyed in 2017 with the Costa Niño. We invite you to register and participate in this calling. Also to ask your questions in the comments to answer any doubts you may have. Next, we will present the words of the Executive Director in charge of the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes, Mr. Rafael Anaya Cardas. Good morning. As Executive Director in charge of the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes, I am honored to share with you this space, which although virtual, allowed us to meet, to inform you and to know the details about the procurement process for the pre-investment studies and design studies RIBA 3 for the pluvial drainage for the districts of Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre, as well as the flood control and mass movement integrated plan in the Piura River Basin. All this process takes place within the government-to-government agreement with the United Kingdom. These interventions are valuable investment opportunities. By participating in these execution processes, you will be part of building some prevention works that benefit the Piura people. We believe this is an important occasion to become part of the reconstruction process of our country, which was affected by the coastal Niño in 2017. We are aware of the impact that these virtual events, these roadshows have, not just promoting the works, but also they strengthen the search for strategic allies that share with us the honesty, transparency, and commitment. Let's work together in order to comply to what we have in the hiring process of the previous states. In the Authority of Reconstruction with Changes, we worked as we must, not as we can. We want to welcome you to the 5th Roadshow 2023. I want to thank the participation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru and the public and private companies that contribute in this task. All the information relevant for this new procurement process will be available in our communication platforms that can be accessed by all the citizens and the companies interested in participating in these processes. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor director.
Thank you very much, directors. In the ARCC, we are working in mega projects. In the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes, we build works so we can restart together.
Reconstrucción con cambios.
Reconstruction with the changes to start together again. To take our children to schools with a modern and safe infrastructure. To start taking care of our families in the nearby health centers that are modern and well-equipped, capable of reducing risk in case of natural disasters. To start crossing bridges that are solid and resistant, that unite our families and allow us to keep developing the regions economically. To start going through stronger roads that help us to be connected, communicated, united. To start living in safe areas surrounded with drainages, dams, and river defenses and breakwaters that will protect our families and our patrimony. To start building new stories in well-located homes, reducing any risk that may affect our families. Reconstruction with changes to start together again together.
Damos la bienvenida al
We wanted to welcome the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru, the Minister Noelia Pantoja, Director of Economic Promotion, and the Directorate that joins this important international call-in to present information of Peru as an investment destination. Go ahead, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm honored to present this new roadshow as part of the permanent effort of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to strengthen the Peruvian economy by attracting sustainable investments, responsible and inclusive investments for the benefit of all Peruvians. In this occasion, along with the Authority for the Reconstruction with Changes, we have our virtual roadshows to present the Piura Master Plan, which contemplates the procurement process for the pre-investment studies and the design of the projects that have been identified in the pluvial drainage plan for Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre. And in the comprehensive flood control and mass movement plan in the Piura River basins that entails interventions related to river defenses, drainages, natural infrastructure, and dams in Piura. Thanks to the joint work from the Chancellor's Office and the ARCC, we've been able to send dozens of call-ins for projects to rebuild the north for our country development. These projects are carried out within the G2G framework between Peru and the United Kingdom, a key instrument that has strengthened the relationship between our countries and that drives the reconstruction following the standards of sustainability for those regions in Peru that were affected by the coastal Niño. The aim is to benefit and improve the quality of life of millions of people. After addressing the the experiences that our country has experienced due to the climate change, it's important to have sustainable infrastructure. This Chancellor's office has been deploying all efforts to achieve that goal. And therefore, the execution of the projects of the ARCC are an important element to reach that goal. Despite the adverse scenario, Peru's economy has made it through, and it has even a growth of our GDP at the beginning of 2022 up to 4.8%, which stands out within the regional context. We also have one of the strongest currencies in Latin America, a positive balance in Peru, and one of the lowest inflation rates in the region. All of that due to the favorable national legislation that we have significant international reserves, and efficient economic management, and good dynamics of the country in the international market. In summary, our country is a reliable partner where foreign businessmen can put their capital, feel safe about it. Finally, I reinstated the commitment of the Chancellor's offices and its branches overseas. And due to their work today, we have the presence of various international companies to assist the economic reactivation of our country in order to benefit our people, particularly those who are in a vulnerable situation. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias por su participación.
Thank you very much for your participation. We want to remind you that this event is being broadcasted through YouTube and Facebook in English and Spanish. Now we will continue with the presentation from Ms. Kate Flynn about the G2G agreement with the United Kingdom. But before, we want to show you a video.
El fenómeno del Niño Costero de 2017.
The coastal Niño of 2017 meant that we needed to rebuild ourselves. And in this process, we need strategic allies, transparent companies, and honest companies specialized and that are committed to the development of our country. And that's what gave birth to the government-to-government agreement with the United Kingdom to ensure that the interventions that were priority in the reconstruction plan follow international standards, generating sustainable works that provide safety and improve the lives of our provinces and our regions. Today, the 47 contracts have been signed and 139 projects have been executed. There are more than 16 billion soles in 9 regions of the country. The ARCC generates works, reactivates the economy, and recovers the trust of our colleagues. Reconstruction with changes.
My name is Kate Flint. I am the Program Director of the UKDT. My background and experience is delivery of major infrastructure programs. I've worked on high-speed rail projects. In 2017, I had the pleasure of coming to Peru to support on the design and construction of the infrastructure for the Lima 2019 Pan American Games. I'm very pleased to be building on that legacy and to support the ARCC in the procurement of the best designers and contractors required to deliver the sustainable protection and defences that will save lives and build on regional economies, all executed in a transparent way. The UKDT is pleased to support Peru and the ARCC through the implementation of the most ambitious national construction program ever conducted in Peru. We are here to support Peru's vision to implement sustainable and resilient infrastructure in the regions affected by El Niño in 2017 and beyond. The objective is to improve life opportunities, as well as increase capacity for Peru to satisfy its future infrastructure needs and reach the greatest internal potential. To achieve this, great collaboration is required, working with communities, local authorities, consultants, suppliers, and contractors. We're helping to develop integrated river basin management plans that include multi-sector and multi-purpose infrastructure, sustainable and resilient solutions, adaptability to climate change and extreme events, and environmental and socio-economic benefits. The work is being executed under a government-to-government agreement between Peru and the United Kingdom. The UKDT is providing strategic and technical advice to support the ARCC in the delivery of the works. The UK team provides support to the ARCC in different ways, as well as the establishment of the PMO, or Program Management Office, and a procurement process based on international best practice. The UKDT provides support and advice to the ARCC and their contractor partners, supporting effective decision-making and making sure that the processes required by the PMO and the new forms of contract are well understood. Transfer of knowledge is at the core of everything that we do. Our number one objective is to build the capacity of Peru to deliver the important infrastructure that is needed in this country. This collaboration is based on an integrated core team in collaboration with strategic partners that bring capability and depth of knowledge to the program. It is focused on delivering measurable, sustainable, and resilient outcomes to leave a positive legacy for the communities affected and Peru as a whole. The opportunity that we are talking through today is much broader than purely design and construction projects. It is significant in terms of its scale, breadth, and responsibilities, and the number of people who will benefit from and be impacted by the project. Because of this, it will be essential that high international standards are met in areas such as environmental management, procurement, design management, management of health and safety, and working with local communities. What does this mean for you? With the support of the UKDT, the ARCC and its supply chain partners are achieving transparency, efficiency, and consistency, decisions on time, and control of change, improving professional practice and standards with a focus on social results. We are supporting economic reactivation and a shift towards building and growing a legacy together. We look forward to being able to do this in collaboration with you.
Muchísimas gracias, señora Kate Flint.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kate Flint. We remind you that you can follow us in the social media of the ARCC at Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Next, we'll give the floor to Miluska Aures, who will give us some details about the procurement process within the G2G agreement with the United Kingdom. Go ahead. Good morning. My name is Miluska Aures, and I work with the procurement team from the UKDT. And I'll tell you what we're planning for this new round of procurement activities, including what would be expected of you should you express a need to start in our process. For those of you that not attended any previous roadshows or participated in any of our previous procurement opportunities, we understand that this process may be unfamiliar to you. So we will try to explain each stage as much as detail as possible in terms of what is expected of you and how you can participate. We are going to go into detail on the procurement process that we intend to run and our proposed contracting strategy. This is very important as you will have limited time to submit documents and responses to us. So this is an opportunity for you to gain an early understanding of our requirements. For those of you that have attended previous roadshows, some of these materials may be familiar. However, please ensure to pay attention to understand exactly what we require and how we intend to contract with a successful tenderer for these processes. We will also cover the procurement program in this roadshow, setting out what we will require from you and when. First of all, I think it is really important to establish the general principles behind our procurement process and the way we interact with the market and the supply chain. And these principles are transparency, openness, and fairness. And they require us to run procurements that enable all available companies who are interested in participating to have an equal chance of being successful. They are aimed at maximizing competition and ensure that the end results provide the client with the most economically advantageous offer. It's important to note that the most economically advantageous offer is not necessarily the offer with the lowest price. It is a mixture of technical and commercial scoring, as the lowest price does not always provide the client with the best value offer. Only those companies that can best demonstrate both previous experience and the capacity to undertake the work, combined with their commercial submission, will score well in this process. You will notice that the theme of transparency, openness, and fairness runs through all our processes and is at the core of what we're trying to achieve. Adhering to these themes should provide you with the confidence that your offers will be treated fairly, and that if you can demonstrate that you are the best suited to undertake the works, then you will be scored and marked accordingly. With regard to our contracting strategy, we consider various contracts forms in our decision-making process. And as many of you will probably already be aware, we decided that the best form of contract to use would be the new engineering contract, or NEC. A key aspect of the NEC form of contract is that it offers a flexibility of approach, and it is collaborative in nature. This flexibility and nature of collaboration aligns perfectly with the principles expressed in the previous slide in terms of transparency, openness, and fairness to engage in a collaborative way with our chosen delivery partners. The NEC suite of contracts come with various options that can be utilized, ranging from traditional fixed price arrangements to cost reimbursable design approaches. The NEC options we are using for this procurement are the professional service contract hybrid option E, cost reimbursable, with an intensified budget set by ARCC, whereby the consultant will be entitled to sharing of any underspend against this budget for the design contract we're procuring. The option E contract is a cost reimbursable contract in which the consultant is reimbursed the actual cost they incurred in carrying out the services, plus an additional fee. I'll explain more about the packaging for this on the next slide. The technical detail and scope of these packages will be explained to you in more detail later. However, it is important that you understand our packaging and contracting strategy. You will see that we are procuring one package in total. There were various factors that fed into our decision to package the works this way, including geography, size of package, logistical possibilities, and attractiveness to the market, including attractiveness for local and small and medium-sized companies. This package is for the Piura pre-investment profiles, based on design only completed to RIVA Stage 3. As I mentioned on the previous slides, the design-only contract will be procured using the NEC Professional Service Contract Hybrid Option E. We intend to issue a mandatory undertaking, MU, and a pre-qualification procurement document for this package. This slide just demonstrates on a visual level the processes and timescales involved with this procurement. The procurement processes we intend to run will be undertaken in three main stages. The mandatory undertaking stage, or MU, a pre-qualification stage, which includes a pre-qualification questionnaire, or PQQ, and invitation to tender, ITT. I will explain in more detail what is required at each of these stages. However, this graphic illustrates how we move from a long list of interested suppliers to one supplier who has won the competition and has been awarded the contract. So following the presentation today, in addition to those companies that have already registered with us following previous roadway, if you wish to be considered for this opportunity, you must first submit your details on the ARCC website. You will also be asked to provide some simple details in order to confirm that your organization has capacity and ability to undertake the works you are expressing an interest in. This avoids including any companies in our processes that are not suitable to be involved. The number of companies who can register is unlimited. After receiving the long list of companies, your details will be registered on our procurement portal award, and you will then receive an email notification when the MU is ready for download. The intention of the mandatory undertaking is to ensure that only those companies who receive the PQQ have the necessary turnover requirements and are able to sign the mandatory undertaking declaration, which includes, amongst others, anti-bribery, collusion, conflict of interest, and confidentiality statements. We will then review the MU submissions to ensure they have been completed properly and that all requirements have been satisfied. The number of companies eligible to pass through the PQQ stage remains unlimited. The pre-qualification questionnaire or PQQ will be then released to all those companies that have passed the MU stage. The intention of the PQQ is to reduce the unlimited long list during the MU stage down to a short list of companies who will be invited to tender. Following the submission of your PQQ and internal evaluation process, you will be notified whether your submissions cascade the necessary score to have made it onto the shortlist. The shortlist is made up of the top scoring number of applicants who submitted a PQQ. So, for example, if we intend to have a shortlist of 7, then that 7 top scoring applicants will be invited to tender. Everyone will receive a notification whether you have made the shortlist or not. The third stage is then the invitation to tender or ITT. Those companies who have made the shortlist will be issued with an invitation to submit a tender, which will consist of the submission of various documents, a technical response and a commercial response. The tender who attains the highest score will be awarded the contract. Therefore, this process allows us to move from an unlimited long list to a short list to one eventual winner. So, as I mentioned previously, after expressing your interests on our website and subject to your suitability, we will enter your details onto our procurement portal award, and you will receive an email notification sent to the email address you provided on our website with your login details. You will first be asked to confirm the login details and change your password. Once registered and once the MU is available, you will be notified again to the email address provided that the MU is now available for download. If you have already previously registered with us, you may also receive login details. If not, you will just receive a notification once the MU has gone live. The MU stage is the simplest and easiest stage to participate. All you are required to do for these packages of work is to select the packages you are interested in tendering for, confirm your turnover meets the required threshold, and sign and return the documents. No further documentation is needed at this stage. However, please be aware that you will be required at the PQQ stage to submit your financial accounts to demonstrate that what you stated at the MU stage is accurate. If your accounts do not substantiate your turnover declaration made at the MU stage, then this will represent a failure to score at the PQQ stage, and you will be disqualified from the process. One important consideration, and one we receive a lot of questions on, is the formation of consortiums and at what stage these have to be notified to us. We do not require at your time of MU submission to set your proposal consortium. This information is required with your PQQ response. The only rule we apply here is that only those companies that submitted an MU response will become eligible at the PQQ stage to be included in a consortium. So it is vital that all those companies, whether they intend to participate in a consortium or not, who wish to be included in the PQQ stage, submit an MU response. However, if you do wish to submit your MU as consortium, you can do it. However, if we receive one MU response on behalf of the entire consortium signed by all members, which it would be needed to, then that consortium could be changed when you submit your PQQ. We have slightly altered this rule to allow for changes to consortiums by way of making changes to the makeup of the consortium itself by allowing consortium members to drop out and be replaced as long as the new consortium member has passed the MU and all the prerequisite conditions are still maintained by way of meeting certain number thresholds. So, if you are unsure of what companies will comprise your consortium during the MU stage, it is better to submit individual MU responses to preserve your options of how you intend to form your consortium. So, moving on to the PQQ stage, all those submissions that have passed the MU stage will receive a PQQ. The PQQ questions are essentially designed to test your capacity and ability to be able to undertake the works you wish to be invited to tender for. They are normally backward facing, by which I mean they are looking back at your history to understand how you have undertaken similar works in the past and what your current governments and policy and procedure processes are like. As mentioned previously, the question will also require you to confirm your turnover threshold. This question is designed to ensure that only those companies are sufficient. It could be, in this case, 3 years in a row, the 2018, 2019, and 2021. This question is designed to ensure that only those companies of a sufficient size and capacity that are admitted through this stage. We are going to also ask you to present your environmental policy, your quality management policy, or health and safety policies. This is the slide explains the invitation to tender. If you are down selected and make the shortlist at the PQQ stage, you will notify through a word and will then receive the invitation to tender also through the award portal. Whereas with the PQQ stage, the questions were backward facing, and ITT is are designed to test how you will approach the delivery of the project in questions. The other main difference in style between the PQQ and ITT stage is that in the ITT stage, there is also commercial submission, which represents your commercial offer to us. Under the NEC hybrid option E, you will be required to price all-in resource arrays and a fee percentage as part of your tender submission. Key questions will be around your proposed program for works, your proposed project execution plans, and how you will manage the process. Typically, and in line with our requirement to award the contract to the tenderer who has submitted the most economically advantageous tender, the scoring will be weighted in favor of the technical section, normally a 70-30 technical commercial split. This ensures that the lowest price does not automatically win the competition, but that the contract is awarded to the tenderer who represents the best value. The commercial score is then added to the technical score to arrive at an overall score of 100%. The highest score in the tenderer then becomes eligible to be awarded the contract, subject to the win-only rule as previously set out. So, what does all look like in terms of procurement program we're working to? Well, registration is already open. So if you haven't registered, I would encourage you to do so after this roadshow. However, if you have already registered for these types of work, please do not re-register as we already have your details. The MU is expected to be launched on Monday next week for one package of work. Registration then closes before the deadline for submission of your mandatory undertakings. This will then be followed by the release of the PQQ and the ITT. You have 2 weeks to complete and return your MU, 4 weeks to complete and return your PQQ, and 8 weeks to complete and return your ITT submissions. I appreciate that and that there's been a lot of information presented to you in this process. As I said at the start, we are operating an open and collaborative process. Once the MU gets issues, we will hold in a series of applicant briefings whereby we will be setting out details of your MU, PQQ, and ITT, and some key tips for completing your submission. We will also be holding similar sessions during the PQQ and ITT processes if you progress to that stage. We also have a messaging facility through our procurement portal, Word, which allows you to be subjected to being involved at that stage, to raise questions that come directly to us on any aspect of the process we're running, or with respect to the content of any of the written documentation we have issued to you at MU, PQQ, or ITT stages. In the ITT stage, we also hold confidential interactive sessions, or one-to-one sessions, with each of the shortlist standard. You will be able to speak to us on a one-to-one basis again on any aspect of the process you are running if you are shortlisted for this stage. You will also be able to raise the scope and contractual queries if you have them. Finally, it's important to know that if you are successful in this process, you will have 2 weeks from the point of being informed that you have been successful to execute the contract. Therefore, you will need to ensure that all the paperwork and contract parties are aligned in order to meet this deadline. Finally, and thank you for your patience. I hope the message has come across clear enough that at each stage of our process, we intend to run an open and transparent process. We want to constantly engage with you to ensure that you are provided with the most up-to-date information. This is through the messaging option in the award portal. You are also given the option of detailed feedback on your submission if you are unsuccessful. This provides you with valuable feedback on areas of improvement with a view to increase your chances of these and future procurements. If you are interested in these opportunities, as I mentioned previously, please register your interest for the first instance on the ARCC website. You will then be issued with the MU documentation, at which point you will be able to raise any questions you may have through the word portal. We will obviously review all questions as they come in and aim to respond to you as quickly as possible. We also want to encourage companies, if you think you don't have sufficient experience, to form consortia with other companies to deliver our projects. For this reason, a matchmaking portal is available on the ARCC website to encourage communities to come together where they can complement each other's skills sets with a view of joining forces and forming a consortium. This detail will be included in the MU documentation. If you have any issues with a word, we will upload user guides in both Spanish and English, so please read through those in the first instance. If your problem persists, then either raise a clarification through a word, or if you're having trouble logging into a word, contact details are set out on the login page. Next, you will see the links of interest that will be available for you. I hope that all this has been helpful and will assist you submitting high-quality proposals. Thank you very much for your attention, and please remember that we're here to help you at each stage of the process. Good luck with your submissions. Thank you. Thank you, Miluska, for the important information about the procurement process within the G2G framework. Now we'll give the floor to the technical presentation. The first presenter is Engineer Néstor Puertas, the Director of the Integrated Solutions Directorate of the ARCC, who will talk about river defenses, dams, and natural infrastructure in Piura. Hi, I am Néstor Fuertes. I am Director of Integrated Solutions for the ARCC, and I'm going to explain the investment plans for the Piura Master Plan. The investment projects are based on 2 components. One are river defenses and dams and natural infrastructure. The components of the integrated solutions that are considered by the ARCC They include the upper part of the basin with natural infrastructure solutions like reforestation, the middle basins with gray infrastructures like abatement dams, and the low basins like river defenses. The components of this integrated plan are three. Component A at the lower part of the basins with river defenses, transversal dikes, dynamic barriers. Then component B at the middle basins with abatement dams. And component C at the high part of the basin with natural infrastructures like reforestation. As part of the intervention lines, we have the flood control, and for that we have river defenses that want to avoid having floods at the lower part of the basins, and the dams whose aim is to control the water flow in the middle or a high part of the basin. Then we also have the intervention line related to natural infrastructure, where we plan to include green infrastructure like reforestation, seedlings, terraces, then brown infrastructure like infiltration ditches, terraces, and then as part of the governance and management, and then the follow-up of a GIS that will help the process to install the natural infrastructure. The objective of this procurement is to select a company or consortium to work as a consultant to formulate and elaborate the design or final studies for each one of the three investment projects. We have currently explained two, the flood control and the natural infrastructure. In the first one, so the estimated amount for the investment, to elaborate the investment profiles as RIVA 3 is 90 million, and for natural infrastructure, it's about 13.5 million. The estimated the times for the pluvial control, it's the 11 months, and for RIVA 3, 8 more months. That is in total 19 months. For natural infrastructures, if the formulation of the profile will be 6 months, the RIVA 3 design stage 6 months, and the RIVA 4 design stage 2 months, with a total of 14 months. As the master plan for flood control and sediment transport management at the Piura River Basin and pluvial drainage are studies that will guide the formulation of the studies for the investment profiles and the designs at RIVA 3 stages. However, this is the responsibility of the consultant to identify all the design stages to comply with the general objectives, that is the flood control and recover the ecosystem services to regulate natural risks. In the investment projects related to river defenses and dams, we will work with the investment profiles and the RIVA 3 design for both river defenses at the lower part of the basins and abatement dams in the middle or high part of the basin. And these investment profiles for river defenses and dams have the aim to reduce the risk against the floods and fluvial erosions and control mass movements in the Piura River Basin. The location of the interventions go across the Piura River Basin, particularly at the top of the Serran, at the province of Huancabamba and Morropón, till the lower part, going through Piura, Sechura, and until it goes to the ocean. The goals of the project are to have 11 abatement dams. These are just estimated amounts that refer to the master plan that has been developed for the Piura River with an investment cost that will be 1.14 billion. And also in the lower and medium Piura will be about 70. That will be 1.37 billion. And until and in Sechura, we're talking about 12 interventions, which are about 960 million soles, which we talk about 3.12 billion soles. The Piura River comes from the top of the Paratón Mountains at the top of the basin of Huancabamba, and it goes across 363 kilometers before it goes into the ocean. The natural infrastructure investment project includes three processes: the elaboration of the profile, RIVA 3 design, and RIVA 4 design. The main activities that we expect here are forestation, reforestation, and the construction of some terraces. Natural infrastructure in the Piura River at the top of the basin has as an objective to recover the ecosystems that provide services that regulate any natural risk, that will protect the people and the livelihoods across the Piura River basin. The location of these interventions are at the top of the basin, but some of them also go to the middle basin and the Piura River. Here we see some of the areas in green that has already been identified in the Piura River plan and include the provinces and districts at the top: Huancabamba, Morropón, and Ayabaca. Thank you very much, and we hope that you participate in this procurement process. Good luck. Thank you, engineer. Next, we'll leave the floor to our engineer Ademir Ramirez from the Investment Articulation Directorate. He will provide us information about drainages. Go ahead, please. Hi, I am Ademir Ramirez, responsible of the formulating unit of the ARCC. I'm going to explain in detail the interventions about the pluvial drainage for Piura. This presentation, this is the agenda. The reason behind the procurement, the scope of the procurement, the deliverables, key people, and the referential value. About the objectives of this procurement. The objective of this procurement is to formulate the profile and RIVA 3. It is called Improving and Expanding the Pluvial Drainage Service in the districts of Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre. Considering the Pluvial Drainage Master Plan elaborated for Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre. The area is the region of Piura, specifically the districts of Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre. In terms of the scope for this procurement, the scope, the idea behind this scope is to elaborate the profile within the investment plan and also to formulate RIVA 3. This is based on what the pluvial drainage master plan for the districts of Piura, Castilla, and Veintiséis de Octubre. The aim of this intervention is to reduce the risk of pluvial floods in these cities. The total time to elaborate these studies is 20 months from which 14 will be to elaborate the profile, and 6 to elaborate RIBA 3 that corresponds to the design stage. It's important to mention that the RIBA 3 formulation is prior to the formulation, the profile needs to be considered viable. This follows the investment management of annual plans, which is Peruvian state systems, where any contractor we will have to consider as an external factor. Then the pre-investment study, which will be the profile, must be understood and formulated in a comprehensive way. It needs to be integrated to the river interventions and the interventions of natural infrastructures across the basin. In terms of the deliverables, we have 5 deliverables for the profile. 5 deliverables for the profiles, and the time are 420 calendar days. It's important to say that these deliverables have 120 days in the first deliverable, the second 210 days, the third deliverable 300 days, the fourth deliverable 360 days, and the fifth deliverable 420 days, calendar days, which are the 14 months. Also, it is important to mention that this profile includes studies according to Invierte, and these are studies of high complexity. And these are high complexity studies, then the Peruvian system requires that most of these studies have a primary level of information. This is very important because any consultant company or contractor company comes to Peru needs to always to consider in the formulation of this complexity the framework the framework and the minimum content that it is in a 7A format. There is a series of a format in Invierte. In terms of RIBA 3, similarly, we have 180 calendar days, and important to mention that the RIBA 3 that corresponds to an initial design stage, these 180 days corresponds to 6 months, and it will be formulated once the project or the profile is considered viable. In item 4, key people. The key people, before we move on to call the key people, I must mention that this it's not post a limit. The contractor may adjust this as it wishes. But it is important to have a project director and a specialist in the hydrological or hydraulic modeling, a specialist in urban drainage, and it's important to mention that due to some experience that we have, that as soon as the studies begin, the investment specialist should be present, and everything related to instruments and tools that the Peruvian system gives us. So it is important your presence from the start of these studies, because we definitely are going to formulate a project or a profile that has a high complexity, and we require the presence of professionals and experts on this. And as a key people, in the case of Riva 3, we have a head a lead of design, a hydraulic design specialist, an environmental specialist. In terms of Riva 3, it's important to mention that in terms of the pluvial drainage in the cities of Castilla, Veintiséis, Octubre, and Piura, this will complement what has been included in the scope of the profile. Finally, in terms of the reference value, the reference value for the service is estimated preliminarily in 40 million soles. That's everything. Thank you very much.
Mil disculpas, muchas gracias a todos los expositores.
Thank you very much to all presenters. Now we move on to the Q&A. First, questions for Mr. Ademir Ramirez from the DAI. What is the scope of the engineering studies, and how can you define if a project is at level profile? Is a profile level?
Hola. A ver, con respecto a los niveles de estudio.
Okay, in terms of the levels of study, when we say this is at profile level, according to Invierte, we are considering that these are high complexity studies, high uncertainty, and it needs to go to a basic engineering level.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muy bien. Siguiente pregunta para el señor Rudy.
Next question for Mr. Rudy Villanueva from Integrated Solutions. What is the length of the Piura River Basin? Is the number of interventions presented the final number? Good morning. I'm Rudy Villanueva Vega, a specialist in coordination from the DSI. The length of the Piura River Basin is 363 kilometers. It starts at the top of the Paraton Mountains and it ends when it goes into the ocean. The number of interventions to develop this project, it's unlimited, let's say. Therefore, the analysis of the consultants has to be integrated.
Muchísimas gracias a todos los expositores.
Thank you very much to all presenters.
Estas han sido todas las preguntas.
Those are all the questions submitted today. You may still ask questions. Leave us with your questions. Our page already includes all the information behind this procurement process. The company that you represent could register easily on our webpage. And before we finish, I want to announce that next Tuesday, the 4th of July, we will have exclusive sessions for Q&A about this process to answer any questions that remain pending and for any companies that have any further inquiries. Also to remind you that the presentation today will be available in English and Spanish in our webpage. The links of interest will be in the comments during the broadcast. Thank you very much for participating. Remember that in the Authority for Reconstruction with Changes, we make works so we can restart together. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Gracias.